Hello, everybody. This is George Lopez here in EdTech. So turns out our boss here, our fearless leader, is out right now. So Sally and I have taken over. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, even though we thought we had it figured out. No worries though, because we're going to have Kim, our math TOSA today. Our math TOSA today. Sorry, our math TOSA today. Do this presentation. So Sally and I will be, Kim will be handling the actual presentation of the math content, and she will talk to you about what her intents are today. Oops, there's Celia. Our intents are today, and Sally and I will be, gathering the questions and fielding the questions. Kim has told us that she has several spots throughout her presentation where she will be have little areas for questions. So we will be waiting to those areas when Kim feels it's appropriate to ask those questions. So before we get started and pass it over to Kim, Sally, is there anything you would like to say?
No, just remember to use the bit.ly for questions. We'll keep an eye on that. And the rest of the time, Kim will be sharing her screen and guiding us through the PD for today.
All right. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and let Kim take over the presentation. Kim, it's all yours.
Okay, let's see if I do this right. Present my entire screen. All right, but it's in the fourth thingy. Okay, so just to make sure I understand this, I can see my screen, but I can't see what you guys are seeing, right?
And if you're in presentation mode, then right, you would just be watching your presentation, but you couldn't see the rest of the participants.
Okay, good. That works for me. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is remote instruction with Eureka Math. And in case there are some of you out there who don't know who I am, let's see if I can get this into presentation mode.
Have you shared your screen, Kim?
I thought I did.
So you're going to go down at the bottom right, present now.
All right, let me get back to here.
See the screen.
I am working on it. Okay, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing four thingies, and I take my cursor down to the bottom, and that little tab is not appearing across the bottom. All right, wait. How's that?
There we go. Good job.
Okay.
Got it. We got
it. Now, can you see the screen?
Yes. So now if you go up to present, then we'll be able to.
There we go.
Perfect.
Wait. I'm going to change that. I'm going to go to, where'd it go? Edit. Go there. Preview. There. That way I can go back and forth between my tabs.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's go back one. Ta-da! Remote instruction for Eureka Math. And in case there's anybody out there who doesn't know who I am, I'm Kim Jorgensen, your Math TOSA, and there is my email.
Figured it out.
Oh,
and I'm going to, this is what we're doing today. The general part, I'm going to kind of review some of the things that Anna said yesterday because they are so important. Then we'll talk about Eureka Math, connecting to your students, those virtual apps that people have been asking about, and then how we can all collaborate. If there's anything in this program that you want more information on, or a how-to on how to do it, let me know. Because I couldn't predict and prepare for everything today, and if I had, it would be an all-day thingy, and we're not going to do that. So just shoot me an email, and I'll do what I can to get that information out to everybody. Please note, I have no class. So my versions of Classroom and Seesaw don't work like yours as far as students in them because I don't have any. I might need to ask you to help me with that using your Classroom or your Seesaw. And I'm going to try to talk slower. So like Anna said yesterday, you're not alone. We're all in this together. We all are trying to figure it out as we go. Remember to reach out to each other, your parents, your students, me, EdTech, and communicate your needs and communicate your successes. Be kind to yourself. Collaborate, especially collaborate with your grade level and your school, because they're more powerful than just one person alone. Okay. And when deciding what you're going to do with math, think about what tech tools you already have and what tech tools the students have. Have they used Seesaw? Have they used Classroom? Can you guide their parents to go to the portal and sign on? Can you make a simple step-by-step tutorial for the parents or the students to access Classroom or Seesaw? Reach out to the parents as much as you can. Make sure they're doing okay. Set up schedules and routines. And any workarounds that you might need to get stuff done. As far as scheduling goes, I know that Anna showed a lot of sample daily schedules, and one of my thoughts was you might have students who are perhaps only able to get to their computer in the morning or in the afternoon. So if you always schedule language arts in the morning and then math before lunch or in the afternoon, or the other way around, one subject is going to consistently be left out. So another thing you might consider is one day starting with language arts and the next day perhaps starting with math, so that there's more of an even split. And now for math. So what are our goals for math while our students are out of our classroom? We want to maintain what we have already accomplished. We have accomplished so much more this year than we have in the years before, and we don't want that to slip away. For our students, it's like school has ended only 2/3 of the way through. So we have all these little premature babies at this point, and we're going to need to strengthen them so that they can survive until next year when they're going to be starting another grade. That's the most important goal. We need to not lose what we have already got. The next thing that's important is clarifying and supporting what they've got. So if at the end of your last lesson in class, you had students who were confused, go in and give them a chance to talk to you or represent those lessons so that they can build up some confidence and feel strong in what they're doing. This whole online thing is new. Start with something they already know content-wise, and then once they get better with the online thing, you can start to add a few more things, which brings me to the third point. You want to teach what is required for the next grade without going too much sideways. For example, if you had a dog sled team, you don't want all the dogs going in different directions. You want everybody pulling in the same direction. So you want to kind of stick to where you are, stick to the path you've got, and just add a little bit at a time, while maintaining what you have already accomplished. So talking with Mr. Tran yesterday, the time he said is 3 hours per subject per week. And he included ELA and ELD as one subject, math as the other subject. So he's thinking 6 hours per week total. He didn't really address the social studies and the science and the other things. So for new teaching, he's really focusing on 3 hours a week for language arts / ELD and 3 hours a week for math for teaching new material. He wasn't real clear with how much time we can spend doing review and independent work. So that's kind of up to you and what's going to work. If I get more clarification on that, I will promise to pass it on. And we all know that we want to focus on essential learning. I didn't say essential standards because for math, those standards are, some of them are humongous with a lot of small steps in them, with an essential path to achieving all that's in the standard. So I'm calling it essential learning. And what's going to be essential is what your students need for the next grade. And I didn't print it here. I will send it out if anybody wants it. But this is what it kind of looks like after I went through Eureka Math yesterday to see how it needs to connect from one grade to the next. So TK, before they get to kindergarten, they need to be able to count to 5, and they need to have one-to-one correspondence if they can get there, since that's developmental. All the other stuff you do is wonderful. But if they get to kindergarten and they can't count to 5, they are going to have trouble. Kindergarten, they need fluency in sums to 5. They need to understand how to make sums to 10, and hopefully cardinality, which means understanding the difference between a quantity and counting to the same number every time. First grade, that's facts to 20. Not super, super fast, but they have to have some strategy other than counting the entire thing on their fingers. Even if it's counting by adding on, that's something. They need to understand tens and ones. They need to be able to count the 10-way and add and subtract 2 digits without recomposing. Second grade needs to be solid on their facts to 20, whatever strategy they use. That doesn't mean necessarily memorized. They need to really understand place value, and they need to be able to add and subtract 2-digit numbers with recomposing, because they're not going to get any new learning on that in third grade. Third grade's heading right into multiplication and fractions. So that's why they need to have all that stuff from second grade going in. Third grade, leaving third grade, they need to have their multiplication division facts at least to 5. More would be good, but if they have them to 5, they can figure there are other strategies to get them higher. They really need to be solid on place value. They need to have 2-digit multiplication strategies and a basic understanding of fractions. Even fractions on the number line. There is a place in third grade, I don't remember which module it is. It's in the fraction module, but there's a topic on ordering fractions or comparing fractions based on a benchmark. That's not really critical for fourth grade. It's lovely. It's really important for developing a sense of understanding math. But at this time, triage, they need to have the skills to survive in fourth grade, and being able to compare fractions based on a benchmark is not as critical as some of the other things in that module. They need a basic understanding of multiplication. They need facts to 5 or better. And they need basic understanding of fractions and how to compare them without necessarily finding equivalent fractions. Fourth grade. I'm sorry, fourth grade. Fourth grade and fifth grade go together. Fourth grade needs more place value stuff because you just expanded it. Multi-digit multiplication, sum division, and a lot of work on equivalent fractions, putting them in order, maybe multiplying the fractions. You don't have to add the fractions. I know that's a lot. I'm sorry. And fifth grade is the same as fourth grade. A lot of place value, but they're going to include decimal fractions closer to the standard algorithm for multiplication and division, but if they can't get the standard algorithm, they need to have other strategies and they need to know how to use them. The biggest thing that they need coming out of 5th grade, besides all the other stuff I said, is being able to make equivalent fractions, because that's essential for 6th grade in the ratios. 6th grade, if you can get out of 6th grade with modules 1, 2, and 3 real strongly under their belt, ratios, unit rates, arithmetic including the division of fractions, and rational numbers, that should give them a good start for 7th grade. The whole second half with the I'm getting old and aphasic, I'm sorry. With the expressions, they're going to be doing expressions again in 7th grade. If you work really hard on the expressions in 6th grade, but they're not strong with equivalent fractions, they can't handle a ratio of proportionality and rates, they're going to be even more lost in 7th grade. All right, so we have our first question slide. The reason the agenda is over on the side is so that if you have a question about something coming up, like Zern or how we're going to push this out to the parents, we're getting to that. And I'm not quite sure at this point how the questions work, but I think I have a couple of helpers who are going to talk to me if there are questions.
Hi, Kim. We do have a couple of questions for you. The first question that we have is has to do with kindergarten. And the question is, do kindergartners need to know subtraction?
They only need to know subtraction as, if they can do subtraction as missing, add, and addition, that would be good. So if they don't know what's 5 minus 3, going into 1st grade, if they know that 3 plus blank equals 5, I used to teach 1st grade. If kindergartners came in knowing that, I could work around to the subtraction part. If they know subtraction, that's really good. But it's really, really super important that they know their combinations to 10. More and by knowing their combinations to 10, that includes knowing missing add end to 10. 6 plus how many more do I need to make 10? That's heading in the direction of subtraction, and they'll have the really important base of everything to 10 by the time they get to 1st grade.
Great, thank you. And Celia has the next question for you.
Kim, there's one more question that asks, can you repeat the essential learning for 2nd grade?
Celia, could you turn up your mic or get closer to it? I can't hear you.
Could you repeat the essential learning for 2nd grade?
Yes. So the rambling went something like this. They need to be solid on their facts to 20. It would be great if they had them from memory, but they need some kind of quick way of getting to them if they don't have them from memory. Preferably, I know how to get to 10 and then I know how to get beyond 10. They need to really know and understand place value with the bundling and the unbundling, because they're not going to have any help in that in 3rd grade. And in 3rd grade, they have to take it to multiplication, multiple addition using the place value chart, multiple bundlings, multiple unbundlings. So they really need to understand the 10 times difference between the 1s and the 10s and the 10s and the 100s, even though we don't call it 10 times. Where was the other one? And then 2-digit addition and subtraction with recomposing, because they will not have any practice on that, any formal practice on that, except as it shows up in multiplication. They're not going to have any formal instruction on that again until they get to 4th grade.
Awesome, Kim. Fault. Sorry.
I heard a disembodied voice from George.
3rd question. So I have one last question. Amen, Kim?
Yes, I can hear you.
This goes, this is from Montebella. Can we get a copy of the first grade of what first graders should be learning, perhaps emailed to administrators, to staff, in agendas?
Agendas?
Perhaps related to that, can we possibly get those, Kim, maybe in writing, whether it's an additional slide or something? That's just another related question that has come in.
I'm going to make a note on my paper right here to neaten this up, make it more official, and send it out to coaches and administrators. How does that sound?
I think hopefully that'll work. Like, again, that's the question from people, but yeah, hopefully if we can get that out to them. Thank you, Kim. Those are all the questions that we have right now.
Okay. Here we go. Next part. Uh-oh, lost my place. Into the lessons. Considerations for when you're trying to create these lessons. Like I said before, you want to provide some familiarity and predictability. This is what we used to do in class. It looks familiar to me. It's not something brand new. All of this tech stuff is brand new. That's hard enough. Oh, good. This is the same thing we did. I'm recognizing it. These are the points that Anna gave us when she did hers. We want to try to balance the fun and the kinesthetic activities and the instruction. Now, just like a diet, if you have too much fun stuff, that's not going to be really good for your diet. So definitely need to work on that balance, and the math is very intense instructionally as it is. And then we're going to talk about later how to create a sense of community as I go through the different parts of Eureka Math. I know this is a whole lot to absorb, and it's going to be overwhelming. So take it one thing at a time, and I won't be able to watch you anyway, so don't worry about it. Not that I would be harping on giving you a hard time anyway. We want the students to love coming to the computer, so we want to find a lot of ways to connect to them. And here we go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back and forth between the component and possible ways to deliver the different components. All of these components are important. You can't take, if you take them out, you're missing how it all connects together. Oh my gosh, you've heard me say that a million times. You're tired of it. So fluency is one of the ways you can hook your students into the math lesson. The fluency is supposed to be an engaging warm-up activity, and you can't just rely on sprints anymore. But there are other fluency activities in there that are much more active. So be brave, turn the camera on yourself, and do those happy counting things. Record yourself doing it. Send out a little teeny tiny video to the kids so they can do their like watching exercise videos. It'll be their math exercise video. They can have a collection of them and review them whenever they want. And even though you don't have a class there, be the best actors that you can and pretend that you are having the best time ever with this happy counting thing or whatever other activities they have in there. It isn't just happy counting. So for the application problem, and these are just things that I have been brainstorming over the last week. I don't have all the answers. These are just my first thoughts, and perhaps you've already thought of them. I'm sorry if I'm repeating what you've already thought of. So application problems are problem-solving activities that are meant to encourage reasoning and sharing of strategies. That sharing of strategies really works into helping our students connect with each other. So you push out the application problem. You have them solve their application problem sometime during the day. And then at the end of the day, they take a picture of how they solved it, maybe record an explanation of what they did, and send it back to you. If you have a way of tiling all of this up on Meet or whatever so they can see each other's, that would be great. Or you can put some of them together and send it out as a giant picture. Or you can send out a couple of each level, from the level 1, which is very, very explicit in their drawing, to a diagram, and then the highest level is where they've just done it with arithmetic and they've recorded how they did it. You can push those out to the kids so they can hear each other and see each other's work. Some way so that it's coming from them to you and then going back out to them so they can see what other kids are doing. They learn really well when they see what everybody else did. And that's exciting to be getting mail. Like if you're in a crisis, when the mail comes and it's your connection to home, this is when they can get back application problems that other kids did. That will be something they can look forward to every day. All right, now for the concept. That's really the hardest part. That's presenting new material in a developmental manner that includes discussions with the students. It's really hard to be sensitive to whether it's your developmental attempt at reaching them is reaching them when you can't see them. But this would be the part where you would want to get yourself online, maybe. This is just one idea. And present the lesson. Have manipulatives in front of you. Maybe the day before, say, tomorrow we're going to do something that's going to need 10 pennies or 20 pennies and a cup, so that they can take the pennies off and draw. They can all know what a place value chart looks like. Take a piece of paper, draw a place value chart, so they can be working while you're working, and you can have it right in front of you, up on the board, wherever your camera can see it, going through the concept and asking questions. I don't know how to get the questions back. I'll have to get the answers back. I'm still running that through my head. You will have a place to share your ideas at the end, I promise. I'm counting on it. But they need to see it. Now, the easy way to do this would be to do it with Zern, but I want to give you a warning about Zern. IT cannot help you with Zern. They haven't any idea. If you decide to use Zern or any other program outside what EdTech has presented already, like Seesaw or Classroom, or any of the things that are already supported in language arts, I don't know what those are, you are on your own. IT does not have the answers. They've never seen Zern. EdTech does not have the answers. If your students are not already using Zern, you can't really explain it to them remotely. I'm going to talk more about this at the end, but I just want you to know that contacting IT or contacting EdTech is not going to get you any answers. The support for that will all be at the end. So, meanwhile, back to where was I? Concept. So practice, that's the problem sets. That's where they need to practice on their own. You could open up the PDF of the student book. Those are all available to you on the digital suite. When you go to the lesson, there are 3 little PDF icons for the entire module for the TE, the entire module for the student book. So you can download that, put the problem set page up on your computer and take a screenshot of whatever part you want them to do. You can then open it in preview and mark which ones you want them to do. Then send it out to the students. They can complete it. They can take a picture or send it back. I'm not real familiar with Seesaw and Classroom. You are much more experts at that than I am. But that's how they can do their practicing. You can also leave your Meet open to work with students who want to work with you, who want some guided practice on it. If they join so that you can hear, I don't guess they can't hear you. Oh, but it's not a live stream, then they can hear you, and you guys can, and then you can talk back and forth, and they can say, I'm stuck on number 2, or I don't know what to go here. So you can really guide them through it like a small group thing, while everybody else who knows what they're doing can just go off and do it. The debrief is one of those places where you can still connect with the students. And that would, again, take place in a Meet kind of a situation where you've got the kids in there and they can share what they learned that day. You can have the debrief, suggested debrief questions are in your TE. Not much more really exciting than that, but your students will all be connecting with each other and feeling like they're a class again. The exit ticket. You really need the exit ticket so you know how to proceed. The tricky bit is you can't see if they're doing the exit ticket by themselves or if they're having a parent help them with it. I have only 2 suggestions that have come into my mind. I'm hoping that somebody out there will have more. Suggestion 1, you do it while you're still on the live stream and you can see them all working. Not the most exciting. The second one is you really need to impress upon them the importance of them doing it by themselves. That it's not something that's going on the report card. It's to let you know what they need to know the next day. So they don't need to worry about getting it all correct. What they need to worry about is showing you what they know, which is why it's so important that they do it by themselves. And it's their responsibility to do it by themselves. You can suggest that they give themselves a timer of 5 or 10 minutes to do it, take a picture of it, send it back to you. So that's it for everything in Eureka Math. The next part would be facts, skills, multiplication practice, addition practice. There are a number of practice videos online on YouTube. I know that's a problem because we can't open YouTube, but if you can find them in some format where you can download them and push them out so that they can practice their 1s or their 2s or their 5s or whatever's, and if they tell you which ones they need, which ones they want to practice, you can send them out in a way that's appropriate for each student. There is for practicing their combinations to 10, there is an online game, which if somebody emails me and reminds me or puts it in the question form, I will find it and get you the link. The problem is that it is connected to other math games, so they really shouldn't be doing it unsupervised. Not that the other math games are bad, but one thing leads to another, and pretty soon they're watching videos of things they shouldn't be watching. The other fact practice, skill practice would be Prodigy, which is the one I know, which falls into this category of if your students aren't already using it, that's even harder to get them going on than Zern. So many little tiny pieces. If you are already using in your classroom any other kind of fact practice, online fact practice thing or skills practice thing, you can always push that out to have them continue to work on that. All right, I think that is everything. Okay, so I believe we have another question session because that was a lot of stuff. And my helpers, I'm sure, will connect with me in a moment.
All right, here we are, Kim. We definitely have a few questions for you. So the first one, go ahead, Celia.
There are actually a couple of questions about Spanish and bilingual resources. And so one of the questions asks, do we have all these resources in Spanish for bilingual and DI classes? Or another question asks about like videos and materials in Spanish from Great Minds.
Okay, so the Spanish digital materials are a proprietary issue, and Monica is working with Great Minds to explain to them again that we have purchased all this material for them, and that no, our teachers are not going to be putting the Spanish materials up online so that the world at large can get this proprietary material for free. She's working on that. I don't have access to them, and if I did, I legally couldn't send it out to you without permission. But we're working on it. The other thing, what was the second part of that question, Celia?
If there were any videos or resources.
Yes.
In Spanish.
So Monica sent out at one time a link to all the videos that Eureka Math has of their own teachers teaching the lessons. And if you don't remember getting that email from Monica, I will go find it myself, and I will put that up in the EdTech, what are we calling it? The Alisol Remote, this one, the Alisol Remote Instruction Resources Math page. That's what I will do, and that was not a good idea. Let's go back. Ah, good. Okay, so that everybody will have access to those. I am also going to find the videos. I don't remember his name, but there's a gentleman who has made videos of all of the problem sets. Now, he uses those problem sets to teach from the problem sets, which doesn't really develop a lot of understanding, but they would be there so the students could use them as a guide to help them getting through the problem set if they needed them. Okay, so Spanish and problem set videos. Okay.
You ready for the next? We have a couple more questions.
Yes.
You ready, Kim?
Yes, I am ready.
This question is, well, actually, these are kind of suggestions or ideas, maybe tips. I'm not sure.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So one person, Mr. Martinez, he says that he actually requested the Spanish materials from Eureka, and he was given access to them, like individually, I guess.
Oh, so he just asked. Mr.
Yeah.
Martinez,
How?
could you please email me how you did that so I can get the information out to everybody? That
Yes.
would be wonderful because I'm not getting an answer.
And Stephanie Coffin is saying that Shepherd software, I think she's offering as an idea that has excellent fun fact practice and skill practice, and it's free.
Great. Now, everybody who just gave me a suggestion, hang on to that suggestion because we have a place to put them. And I don't want those to slip away.
Mr. Martinez actually answered your question through the form just now. So he says that you have to make a request to Eureka for the Spanish materials. You go to the Eureka page and submit a request, and it'll appear on your dashboard once they approve.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. I will read that in the questioning thing later and put that information out to everybody as well.
Awesome.
All right, we have one more or any more, Celia? Yeah, we have one more, I think, and this one is, it's more about the whole lessons, and the question is, how long should a lesson take using all these: fluency, application, concept, practice, debrief, the whole gamut that you just went down?
So if you're doing it in class, and if you had been doing it from the beginning of the year so that the students know how to get what they need and everything's on their desk, and you don't have to pass stuff out, and you've got your internal pacing down where you can go from fluency to fluency to fluency, and you have a timer and you're doing it only 3 minutes at a time, and you're stopping yourself, and when you're doing the concept development, there are usually like 4 examples, and you're not doing the 4th one because that's a stretching activity. If you figured out how to, if you've got all of that pacing, internal pacing nailed, it's supposed to take you an hour to do the whole thing. I usually take, when I really work with a class for a whole week and we can just go, it takes us about an hour and 15 minutes. Mr. Tran is suggesting 3 hours for the teaching part, which would be the lesson part, for the entire week. So if you present, let me just give you an example of a possible week schedule thing. So let's say Monday, you start with language arts and you do a lot of stuff with language arts and you do a little bit with math, but not a whole lesson. Maybe you have them review what you did before, maybe you do fact practice, maybe you do something, so because that doesn't count as part of the 3 hours. Then the next day, you start with math instead of language arts and you do an hour and a half to get it all in. Maybe you break it up into 2 pieces, if you got to. Whatever works for you and your kids. But you try to get in an hour and a half the first time, like on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, you do language arts maybe starts off, and then you do a review of what they sent in. You talk about the application problems. You push out those little videos. You let them see from each other. You maybe go over the problem set. You talk about, you have like a teeny tiny mini lesson on things that you noticed from the exit ticket that were confusing, so you do some clarification. And then on Thursday, you present the next lesson. So that means a whopping 2 lessons a week. At this point, that would be stellar. We would be really jazzed. We'd be making a little bit of progress. Remember, the most important part is to maintain what we've got and get some of those critical things out. I'm going to be crawling through the modules for each grade, topic by topic, to try to see what can be skipped, which I'm sure you've never thought would ever come out of my mouth. But what's really, really essential in there, but still be connected, because if you skip too far, they'll be confused. So that's my next project. Full stop.
All right, Kim. So we have a couple of questions, and I think you could probably help us with this, but we figured these questions would be filed under maybe IT support. But a couple of teachers are saying that they do not have access to Affirm or to the Eureka Math in their portal. So I believe those are kind of 2 different issues. I think one of them would be if you don't see it in your portal, that's probably an IT help desk ticket. No,
that's not an IT help desk ticket. That's a contact me, and then I contact Great Minds and I say, please connect them with your license. The part that might be IT is
adding them to the portal, probably that icon.
It's not the portal. No, it's not in their portal. They go to Great Minds and that would all show up in their dashboard. So there is no. So on their portal is a Great Minds portal. If they don't have a Great Minds portal, that's definitely an IT thing. But if they've gotten into the portal and they've clicked on Great Minds, but they don't have access to the digital suite, which is all the materials, and they don't have access to Affirm, that's a connection between us and Great Minds. One of the things that happens at the beginning of the year, IT sends all the email addresses off to Great Minds. I think this is how it works. Because all of a sudden I get this huge, I can look at this huge list of all the people that are supposed to have licenses. This may not include new teachers or coaches or who knows what else. For some reason, they're not connected. So if you are not connected to the Great Minds digital suite, if you don't see it on the front of your dashboard, if you have been collecting other resources on your dashboard, there's another place where it says My Resources in the orange bar, which it might have fallen off the front page and gone to that page. Your coach, but you don't have coaches right now. Yes, so email me and I'll send you a self-help video for how to find it if you didn't. And Affirm is really easy to get. You just have to use your district email. If you have already signed up for a free account, you have to let me know so I can have them delete the free account so you can get it through us so that you're connected to all the Eureka Math goodies in Affirm. So yes, those are both Contact Kim things.
Yeah, so it seems like there's so I get the whole in once you're inside Eureka, contacted you about getting, access to all the digital resources. But the other question about if you don't see the Eureka or Great Minds Eureka icon in the LSL portal, that is an IT.
That is definitely an IT thing. And how would you recommend that we resolve that?
Help desk ticket.
Help desk ticket. Thank you.
There you go. Any other questions?
I'm supposed to have the Great Minds icon on my portal. And I don't know if it says Great Minds or Eureka Math.
I think it says Eureka.
Out there, no. I think it says Eureka Math.
It does. Celia?
Okay. There were a couple more suggestions, Kim, really quickly. One person suggested Khan Academy, and the other person, someone else, actually a couple people suggested like Embark and looking at the videos put out by Dwayne.
Oh, yes, Embark. Embark, really good. Writing that one down too.
So just some ideas in case people don't already know that those resources exist.
And we have coming up at the end, see at the very bottom on 5 where it says collaborate. Oh boy, are you guys going to have places to put all of our collected wisdom.
Great. And just one last thing, just so you know, if you're thinking about using, what was that resource? Not Embark, but Khan Academy. Those videos are hosted on YouTube, so just be aware of that. So that gets us to that.
That sticky bit.
Yep. All right. I believe that is it. Go ahead, Kim.
I have a question for you, George.
Sure.
Khan Academy is free, right?
As far as I know, yes.
So if people were able to figure out how to download a video from Khan Academy, would that be okay to do?
Oh, wow.
Is that a fair use thing?
I mean,
like
we've kind of got, Josh has kind of addressed that. I don't want to speak to that because Josh has kind of addressed that in one of our other screencasts, but there is tools around that, and I will just leave it at that.
Okay, because if you hosted it in your Google Drive, then there would be no connection to other things.
I believe that's what Josh shared in a previous screencast about, if you know how to do that, but it's not something that we as the district are endorsing or that we want to set up as a practice, just because, we have to try to respect that as much as possible.
Right, and I want to make sure that we're, doing it legally, rightly, and respectfully.
Yeah.
If it happens. All right. So was that the end of that one?
That's it, Kim. Back to you.
Okay, back to me. So a short thing on virtual apps, virtual programs. I kind of addressed this already. Zern, Prodigy, whatever you've got where you've signed up for something and they've got something they've got to do. If you're not doing it already, it's going to be really, I wouldn't recommend trying to get your kids to just pick it up. Because there is no support, really, unless you want to talk to the people at Zern or talk to the people at Prodigy. You can, of course, ask your colleagues how they do it, your ed tech liaison, me, or you can actually contact product support and you'd be amazed at how fast they are, much faster than I am. Do not contact ed tech or IT. They absolutely cannot help. They don't know the programs. They have no clue what you're talking about. So those are your 3 choices. Now, for Zern, if you are an upper grade teacher and you are familiar with Zern and you think, I think my kids can handle this, I do have a self-help slide presentation on how to get your account, how to get your kids in there, but you're going to have to record yourself doing the first bunch of lessons so they can follow along. Because you can't just say, here's your sign-in stuff, go do this. They're not going to really know. The first time you do it, they need to see it be done. And I would definitely not try to do it with little kids up to 3rd grade if you've never done it before. We're having a hard enough time reaching out and teaching them stuff that they already have been doing in class. To try to do this remotely where you can't see the panic on their face or the mistakes they're making on their computer is just asking for frustration and tears. And Prodigy is even more confusing because there are no instructions on Prodigy except for the little guy who follows them around at the very beginning. Part of the concept of Prodigy is that it's, if you poke at the computer enough, eventually you'll figure it out, and don't worry, you can't break it. So there are very, very few instructions in Prodigy, as wonderful and engaging as it is. There is one other thing you can do with Zern without actually getting your kids on an account, and another way you can use this. And I will make a video or a presentation of this later, because this is already long enough, but it goes something like this. In your teacher account, you can go to each lesson and you can click on the main part of the lesson, which is the math chat or whatever they're calling it that day. And you can watch what the students would be watching, and you can respond as the students would be responding, and you can record your screen while you're doing that. And then you can send it out to them so they can watch it like a video, and they can pause it and do the stuff that they have to do on a piece of paper. The only added part of that is that there are these things called notes, which you would need to send out with that video. And just like I suggested with the problem set, you can download the notes as a PDF, put the notes up on your screen. Thank you to George for showing me this. Take a screenshot of the part that they need to do, send it out to them, they do it. They don't even have to send it back. They just have to do it on there. You could ask them to send it back. That would work too. But that way they can do the lesson, the main part of the lesson, without you having to get them all set up on an account. But the biggest thing about the other virtual programs is that if they're not already doing it, if it's complicated, you aren't going to be able to be there to help them. And you're going to be on your own, basically. Okay. After that depressing piece of information, this is much better. This is collaboration. Copy down that bit.ly. And somebody please try it and tell me if you're able to get in, because I set it to be shared to everybody at Alisol. So of course, please make sure you're in your Alisol Chrome thingy before you try to get there. And I'm going to wait a little bit so people can write it down.
Just a quick little break, Kim, as people are writing that down. We are about close to 45 minutes in, so I don't know when might be a good time for a break, but just let us know, okay?
We're almost done.
Oh, great. So maybe we'll just finish up. Thank you.
This is the last piece.
Okay, great.
Except for any more questions.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the next, actually it's not the next slide, I'm going to go to a different tab here. This is where you should get, and I see we already have some visitors in there. Yes, it must be working. So this is an everybody can write in document. Long thing about what it is and how to do it. And the most important thing, I'm going to scroll down here, is you see each component on the side with a brief thing about what it is and why it's important. And then in here you would put your name, where your site, your name, your site, and your grade that you're teaching, and then, whoa, this is how I pushed out the fluency, and I did it with my camera, or I did this, and it worked really well, or there was this problem. And then, you know, after you're all done, pick a color that you like so that it's easy to tell whose is whose. After the next color, you can always pick the same color as the one previous, so that we don't have to try to look at yellow or gray on a white screen. Anyway, the more stuff that gets put in here, all of those suggestions that people were giving, they need to go here so everybody can see them. Even if something didn't go well, I tried this thing that Kim suggested, and it's absolutely nuts. It doesn't work. But so does anybody else have another idea about how we could do this? So this is our collective, let's go one right now. This is our collective place to share all of our ideas, a giant meeting and place to leave stuff. and to refer people to, because I know not everybody could get to see this today. Obviously it's going to be recorded, and I hope they will find this and start adding ideas, because I only had a few, the things that first came to my mind. And that's basically it. You see, we've got, oh, look at that. See? And if now that Shepherd software doesn't have a name, so that if somebody has questions, they can ask you about it. So remember to at least put your name, so that people know who to contact if they want some more information. There we go. Lovely. So this is, I'm going to leave, well, people who are on. I'm going to go back to here and let you keep typing. And any other questions? This is our last question thing. If you have more later, I'll be looking at the whole question page myself.
And just, a couple of them have been suggestions. I want to talk about Laura Carey. Thank you, Laura, for chiming in from Montebello, saying that students do have access to Khan Academy videos. And I believe you're right, Laura. What I did is, I believe when I went in there, I had to create an account, and I don't know how that works with student privacy and them creating an account with their Google account. So that's the only thing that I would caution you with. So, I think, because I did try to do that, and it asked me to create an account.
George?
Yes, Elia. I'm just Kim.
Could you go into my little my little doc and put that down? Those would be for the lessons, I think. So
Yeah.
put that under about the Khan Academy, and then your concerns, so
Great.
other people are aware of it later.
Great. Celia is actually doing the typing for me, so she'll do that. Thank you. Any other? I didn't see any other questions. Let's see here. Some other suggestions that I think all of you are sharing about getting math resources. Like Kim said, please add those to that document. I think the more we share, the less work we're all having to do ourselves on here. So yeah, a lot of good tools on here. No other specific questions, Kim. Now here's one thing that came up, is a question that came up perhaps is Kim going to do any lessons? And I think that hopefully this was, I'll leave that up to you, but I've definitely got some ideas about collaborating with you and using the tools that we know to do the different phases of the math instruction. But we'll talk more about that. So do you want to address is Kim going to do any lessons type of question?
Well, Kim could do lessons. Kim would need a class, and I would like to work with the teacher ahead of time, because I don't know your kids and I don't know where you are, but plan it together, and then I'll have a go at it, because believe it or not, I actually have fewer tools than all you guys have most of the time. So yes, I'm willing to give it a go. Anything else? Because I have one more little bit to do.
One last thing, somebody just asked the last minute, if you could post that link one more time to that collaborative document.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, so that was a question that came up. But besides that, it looks like I don't see anything else that has come in with regards to necessarily math or questions that you might be able to answer, Kim.
Okay, so the other thing that I don't know how I forgot this slide, but it was intended to be a slide. If I'm not a mind reader, I failed that course. If there are things you would want me to make a presentation about, or a screencast about, especially short ones, let me know and I'll do it. I don't want to start just inventing stuff that people are not interested in, that people don't need. So if it's how can we do that little Zern thing with the lesson that you talked about, I'll do that. And any other things that you want screencasts of, I will have a go at it. I will get that sign up for the Zern thing out, but it will have that big notice across the top that says, you do this at your own risk, because it's going to be hard to do it remotely with your kids if they've never done it before. Okay, I think that's everything. Alrighty.
Just one last thing, Kim, you've definitely gotten, so later on you'll take a look at the form, but you've definitely gotten some thank yous and some appreciation from kudos, for your work. So we got a couple of people that have said that. We have especially Miss Delgadillo at Chavez, who says, "Shout out to Kimmy. I love the chickens." Okay, so there you go.
Well, I'm really glad this was useful because I've been very nervous about this all week.
Okay.
And that would be it. I know that you were all, this was your first day of instruction, and here we have a PD. So I really appreciate your time. And yes, that was the last one. So that's it, except for please keep adding to the doc and trying things. Oh, and try not to go off in 50 million directions, just grabbing stuff. Yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry.
All right. So we are going to go ahead and end this live stream. More information should be coming in the near future as to what our next steps are and the next PD. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and you have a great day.